Revolutionary talk for revolutionary times. LibertyTalk.fm.
Hello, this is Ron Paul with your weekly update for Monday, September 25th. The descent of U.S.-North Korea crisis to the level of schoolyard taunts should be remembered as one of the most bizarre, dangerous, and disgraceful chapters in U.S. foreign policy history. President Trump, who holds the lives of millions of Koreans and Americans in his hands, has taken to calling the North Korean dictator rocketman on a suicide mission. Why? To goad him into launching some sort of action to provoke an American response. Maybe the U.S. president is not even going to wait for that. We remember from the Tonkin Gulf false flag that the provocation doesn't even need to be real. We are in extremely dangerous territory, and Congress, for the most part, either remains asleep or is cheering on the saber rattling. Now we have North Korean threats to detonate hydrogen bombs over the Pacific Ocean and U.S. threats to totally destroy the country. We are told that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is a madman. That's just what they said about Saddam, Gaddafi, Assad, and everyone else, the neocons target for U.S. military action. We don't need to be fans of North Korea to be skeptical of the war propaganda delivered by the mainstream media to the benefit of the neocons and the military-industrial complex. Where are the cooler heads in Washington to tone down this war footing? Making matters worse, there is very little understanding of the history of the conflict. The U.S. spends more on its military than the next 10 or so countries combined, with thousands of nuclear weapons that can destroy the world many times over. Nearly 70 years ago, a U.S.-led attack on Korea led to mass destruction and the death of nearly 30% of the North Korean population. That war has not yet ended. Why hasn't a peace treaty been signed? Newly elected South Korean President Moon Jae-in has proposed direct negotiations with North Korea leading to a peace treaty. The U.S. does not favor such a bilateral process. In fact, the U.S. laughed off a perfectly sensible offer made by the Russians and the Chinese with the agreement of the North Koreans for a double freeze. The North Koreans would suspend missile launches if the U.S. and South Korea suspend military exercises aimed at overthrow of the North Korean government. So where are their cooler heads? Encouragingly, they're to be found in South Korea, which would surely suffer massively should a war break out. While U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, was bragging that the new UN sanctions against North Korea would result in a near-complete blockade of the country, an act of war, the South Korean government did something last week that shocked the world. It announced an $8 million humanitarian aid package for pregnant mothers and infant children in North Korea. The U.S. and its allies are furious over the move, but how could anyone claim the mantle of humanitarianism while imposing sanctions that aim at starving civilians until they attempt an overthrow of their government? Here's how to solve the 7-year decade-old crisis. Pull all U.S. troops out of North Korea. End all military exercises on the North Korean border. Encourage direct talks between North and South and offer to host or observe them with an international delegation, including the Russians and Chinese, which are, after all, Korea's neighbors. The schoolyard insults back and forth between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un are not funny. They are, in fact, an insult to all of the rest of us. Thanks for calling this update. A new update is placed on this number, 888-322-1414 every Sunday.